I should show you this. I was meaning to show you this. Look, how do I point? Point there, up there, up in that corner there. Prusa MM2 MMU Multi-Material Unit 2 has been getting some work. Thank you to Revelor and also Oliver. I want to say. I mean, did you just have? Did you guys meet up because your names are similar? Well, anyway, Revelor and Oliver have both been putting it together, and I'll give you a little preview. You enable it, and then you have a Prusa MMU2, and you can attach it to any printer that has a direct drive, and you're good to go. So that's pretty good, right? You don't need much beyond that. That YouTube chat does look a little funky, doesn't it? It's like white on white or something. Well, anyway, there's your MMU2 happening, so you should be pretty excited about that. As if you're like me, I'm thinking I want to get one now. And actually, all my printers at the moment are non-direct drive, so I think you can. There's probably ways you could use it with a Bowden if you were clever. You just have to do very, very careful loading and unloading of the long tube, or try to use the shortest tube you could. But anyway, so it'll be available to use with Marlin on any machine that you want that has a direct drive and maybe a Bowden. So that's pretty good. There's some things I'm obviously wanting to tweak in this before it goes out, but it is getting there. I like it a lot. So I did the other earlier one, the MK3, and that one was based on and it's still really not quite complete. It's supposed to have, there's these move commands that are sent by Prusa firmware, or I should say Prusa slicer, puts together commands that are appropriate for the MMU2, and then those commands determine the loading and unloading procedure, and also how much filament is retracted and then put back during that process and everything. So yeah, it's pretty intense. So anyway, that's working. So I just went through and just disabled all the sub options, and there's like some weird ones which I think these will need to be documented a little better. Obviously, they're just weird numbers. So what do they mean? We'll soon see. But I believe the idea here, actually, I'm just guessing, is this is feed rates and lengths for the E axis to be moved, and that basically it's like how far and fast does it move as it's doing this ramming sequence to move the filament in and out of the nozzle, I'm assuming. I always thought that, like, if you really want to get the filament and do a change, you need to have the end be clean, and also you want to avoid having a big ball on the end because it won't reload, or so you want to make sure that everything fits in the tubes and stuff. And so what it would do on unload is you want to have it, basically extrude a bunch and then pull it out really quickly, I would think, or extrude a little anyway, and then pull it out really quickly. And that seems to be what this is doing. It's a little bit forward movement, accelerates, but then it goes backward really far and really fast all of a sudden. And I assume that the idea there is to just make sure that the filament is clean. And so that, I believe, is what's going on with the ramming sequence. That's what these are about. Why these are divided by 60, I think we'll fix that up, because these should just be, we'll take out the divided by 60 and we'll just have it automatically do that for you, because clearly, you want to just be able to use, I think, in a general sense, I think it makes more sense to specify your feed rates in millimeters per minute whenever possible, because millimeters per second is just not something that we think about when we think about it, obviously, that's better for humans, but always with your G-code, it's sending it millimeters per minute. So I don't know, it's always a question. Should it be done as, but here we're seeing it as millimeters per minute anyway. So, and that's the way it was apparently meant to be expressed. So we're going to kind of go with that, I think, going forward. Anyway, meanwhile, so there you go. There's not a lot more to say. I mean, it's just to be able to hook it up. You'll need an extra serial connection to use it, I believe, is the idea. So there you go. I'm pretty excited. Here I am, yes. I am here. Oh, sorry. I told you I would mute whenever I'd cough, and I'm going to try and do that, but I just missed my first cough there. And I'll also not do a lot of clapping near my microphone. I'll try to be kind to the viewer and listener. Okay, so where did I leave off? Well, I have everything set up here. I'll just plug in the printer to the serial here. So I have it available in Arduino. We'll pull up Arduino, which right now I have two windows open. The one on the right here, and the one over there. The one on the right on my side is the one that is got Marlin 118 in it, so you can see it's got a lot of tabs. Marlin 2.0 is on the left, and so I'm just going to change the branch to the oh Jesus, I'm sorry. I really am going to avoid doing this coughing. I'll just try not to talk too hard, if that makes sense. Drink a lot of water? I don't know what you do. So anyway, here we have Geeetech A10, which I've added as the board name. I've been making some corrections, I guess, to my own stuff here, or is this, yeah, so what I'll do is I'll just bring this up to date real quick. So to do that, we use mf rebase, my little script helper, and that is going to, oh, I should probably increase the size of stuff so you can see it here. There we go. That's reasonable size, right? Okay, so sure, it's more than reasonable. In fact, it's unreasonable at this point. There we go. Okay, so sometimes there's conflicts. That's what I will now do. Is fix that conflict by searching for a flag of that conflict. So this is intentional, and then mine is also intentional. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then I guess I'm going to leave it because I corrected it later, I guess. Leave that weird little extra space. Okay, so these were added or something. Some of these are all new. So we've got Fisetc and Duplicator, and Voron is a new one as well. And I should mark this if I haven't already. Well, let's finish this bit and I'll go back to that. So I think I've found all the changes. Let's continue, and that's another little helper script of mine, Gurko, which tells me now there's another one that I need to look, and there's 3 conflicts, which I'm going to assume that that's correct. Yeah, they're both 76. Pins, yeah, okay. Yep, I did add it, and I think that goes away, honestly. I don't know why it didn't before. I guess I was asleep. Okay, here we have fixed spacing. Make sure you have, select in tools board. I think I modernized it this way, so there you go. Let's see if that works. And okay, we're ready to begin. Now the changes that we've been making are built on top of the latest stuff. That would be 13,010. So I think I just added board support for the GT2560 V3. So those are all there. Then I may rename that with underscore, we'll see. And then, yeah, there's just I renamed the board, and then I did that, and I did that. So, how did I do that? Oh, did it already exist? Now I'm confused. I'm sorry, I need to take a quick look in the Finder and see what's going on. So let us go to Marlin firmware and work within here. We have GT2560 V3. Okay, so it is called V3 and it does exist. I guess I must have added it at some other point. I don't know. But yeah, it's not needed because it's included Okay, good. So everything's modernized. So all I really need to do is do a quick fix up. And we'll just do that. Good. All right, where were we? Gosh, I feel like this is not enough. Give me a minute. Gradient mixing. Oh, geez. I went and did it to the wrong branch in the whole time anyway. This is my ramps development, which I was working on before, and I don't really need to bring that up to date. This is the actual one that I'm going to be using. So I have an A20M build ready to go. So this is the A20M configs are here. And then we'll bring over to here, and you can see I've actually got the build ready to go here. So anything I do, yeah, and I've been basically just bringing over settings piecemeal from 1.18 and then trying to, like I added some configs for comparison and stuff, so I have them here if I need to see what the differences are between the 1.18 version and what's in 2.0, because you really want to have all the options that pertain to the A20M on to my right and your left be, you know, the same for both. All right, it's 11:01, so I guess the stream is sort of officially beginning. Welcome everyone to the Marlin live stream. Tonight it's Marlin hacking of, I guess you can call it hacking, because open source, we just hack and we keep doing that until it works. And hopefully we don't make something too ugly in the process. So if you've been following this set of live streams, or if you're now watching this one after watching the others, I hope you've fast forwarded through the boring parts and got something out of some of the more interesting parts. And tonight, this is the finale, I hope. The idea is to install on the A20M, which I've already done once, and have the screen work, which it didn't the first time, and then actually do some test printing with gradients in them, and just sort of go, while those test prints are running, observe the firmware internally, see if we can get some debug output. I may do some test runs that are very simple, where I just write a little quick G-code script that raises while making a gradient go up, and just have the whole process run through. And we'll see what happens out of that. As you can see, the YouTube chat is being strange on this particular display. I don't know why. So I may need to, oh, there it is. I refreshed the cache and it worked. So apparently there is something going on there. It may just need to be, it just may need to refresh itself periodically. So I'll just do a quick hello in the chat, and there it is. Okay, so I guess that's working. So very good. I'm happy about that. There we go. Okay, all this setup has been a little bit taxing tonight. This cold is killing me, but it's not going to kill me. It's just going to slow me down a little, but not a lot. So let me get into this important stuff here. Let's see, what have I got? Okay, first things first, let's power up the A20M and flash and see where we're at. Let's see what we get. Hopefully nothing too extreme. Powered up. If you can't hear the loud fan, maybe you can, or the lavalier. It is crazy loud. Right now, working fine because I put 1.18 back. So I know I can always restore it, and that's why I have this here, a little emergency restore. So let's see if we can see the serial port. There it is. Okay. Let's do a quick build, make sure everything's building correctly. Verify, as they say. Oh gosh, sorry. I keep doing that. Okay, the idea was not to cough in your ear. And I'm going to be trying to be really assiduous about that. Uh, so, meanwhile, let's move this microphone out of the way so we have a little more space, a little more elbow room. Let's get into this whole process. I don't know how much filament I'm going to need to do this testing. We'll see. I'm going to maybe try to do it without using too much. I just want to like turn on the gradients, see how they work, do a little moving of the Z, see if it changes from one moving to the other moving when I'm at the height, and just when you're halfway, see that it's 50%, have the output come out. All of that stuff I believe I can do manually because it's all very it's stateful. These whole gradient things and colors and stuff, they just retain their state, and your G code can merrily go along, change that state, and it will change the mix. Okay, so it looks like the verify is just about done. Well, it says halfway done, but yeah, Marlin 2 takes a little longer to compile than Marlin 1, and I'm a little sorry about that, but it really needed to be reorganized for the benefit of the coders. So it's just a big app, and having a 15,000 line file. Okay, so as you can see, you may notice it says low memory available, stability problems may occur, which means that I've used up 77%, leaving only 1,824 bytes of RAM for local variables. Local variables are already, this is an interesting fact about the way that Arduinos work, is that you can use malloc and things to allocate memory dynamically, which means basically using a system that knows what blocks are available and can give you a piece when you need it and tell you when you don't have enough. And basically those are used for bigger applications, smarter applications. But for embedded applications, traditionally, customarily, we've avoided using any dynamic memory allocation because it can cause fragmentation, and then you may not have the ability to back out of that. But I believe that generally speaking, as long as your blocks are deallocated all in a row, they should be fine. But in general, in Marlin, we've avoided using malloc in almost every instance. But with the advent of 32-bit processors, we're more open to using malloc because it doesn't come with the same caveats. We have a much bigger buffer of space, so that if fragmentation does occur, or even if a buffer, even if there's a runaway buffer overflow, or oh gosh, now I can't even remember what it's called when you allocate too many buffers. I've been out of the game too long. Yeah, when you forget to deallocate them, it's called a memory leak, and you end up being basically just constantly using more and more until your app crashes, basically. So we don't want that kind of stuff to happen, and so we've avoided it. And so this 1,824 bytes is basically, that's stack. We can use the stack, and generally we don't use malloc, but there are occasions when we might allocate a big bunch of the stack. The stack is just this thing. If you know your computer stuff, you know what I'm talking about. If you don't, I won't get too technical about it, but it's another place where you can use memory, but in a different way that's kind of built into the language. And so it makes it a little easier than using a function like malloc and this whole system of blocks. But they have to be basically, they just have a short lifetime, and then after your function exits, like your stack is cleared and all the stuff that you had there goes away. So that's basically how Marlin works. It grabs a little when it needs it and then throws it away. So you could call it a sort of a malloc, but it happens within as an automatic consequence of just having variables in functions. So anyway, this is telling me that it's low, and I'm not sure why. Honestly, it's using 6368, except that I might be doing a lot of extra debugging. But why I'd be using more RAM, I'm not sure. I'm going to go back to the pre-mixing gradient stuff and see whether it's still doing this later. But for now, that's what we've got, so I don't know. Anyway, I know, you don't like to hear your firmware developers say, I don't know, you tell me. Uh, Sometimes it's just where I'm at. All right, we're going to upload. Here goes. Fortunately, it built, so the upload should be rapid. I could have done that while I was gabbing. But anyway, what else is going on? Well, I want to give you a little news. I have been, as I've been fighting this cold, I've been keeping terrible hours. And I've been having a hard time getting in sync with England and the UK. But if you've been watching YouTube and noticing a lot of YouTubers playing with the E3D tool changer, that's going to be featured on this channel pretty soon. So that will be pretty exciting. But anyway, the coordination between us has been a little rough, so it's probably not going to get sent until next week, and then I have to figure out what components are going on. The funding issues that I've had with Patreon and so forth because of the consequences of boycotts have been a little have made it harder for me to like pull in the equipment and the extras that are needed for this particular unit. So I've been E3D is kindly donating the whole deal, and with the obviously that I have to get Marlin and working on it, and or you know, play with it to a level where it makes it way better. So that's going to be part of what's going to happen. Is my aim, while a lot of other people will be working with building and testing and really putting them through their paces, I will be doing that, but I'm also going to be playing with the firmware, trying to get Marlin 2 effectively building fully with all the configuration needed for this tool changer system. And we already have a tool changer feature was submitted a few months ago. So we have it in there, and it's just waiting to be really deployed on it. And same way that the A10, A20M stuff from Geeetech has just been kind of waiting. And I have good news. It flashed, and the screen is on. It worked. Okay, so I don't know what I did differently, but it's working. So I'm very pleased. That's exciting. So first thing I'm going to do is, well, I guess give it the full test. And to do that, I'm going to need, let's bring this up here. Where are you? Come on, give me a window. Oh, give me a, oh, I see. I need that keyboard shortcut. There we go. Okay, so here's our serial. And as you can see, compiled January 24, free memory, EEPROM version. Yeah, it's all here. And it's bug fix 2. I'm using 115.2, that's my customary speed, and I hope it's yours too. But if you have a very reliable 250 kbaud connection, definitely use that. Let's see, so you don't want your buffers to starve after all, and keep them stuffed with data. So here we are, EEPROM version mismatch, so I need to do an M500 to get that initialized. Okay, and now let's reconnect, and we'll see what our settings look like. Okay, there we go. I'm just going to do a little, well, I guess I'll leave the labels on the screen. You've seen them before, probably. But what we have here is M92, so these are our movement amounts, and these are numbers that we got, you know, straight from their firmware. Maximum feed rates, all these numbers pretty much. M145, again, M301, these are my numbers actually from my A10Ms, so they might not pertain exactly to the extruder on the A20M. And you'll have to do M303 anyway, so don't worry about these too much. And I have the bed. Okay, and then power loss recovery, we have that is turned on, and filament load and unload lengths. So yeah, part of this is it really integrates with the power loss recovery. So we want to, and of course, one of the things that's happening as a consequence of this migration is that the filament both the filament detection runout and the filament and the power loss recovery rather are both also being migrated into a form that is more simple. It's Marlin's version of those brought over and then working on the A20M. So they're a little more configurable and more advanced than what you get with the 118 version. Of course, since you can download Geeetech's firmware, you can tune that stuff. But I think we didn't have multiple filament runout sensors previously, and there's a lot of new stuff coming in terms of interacting and coordinating with the host. A little back and forth with Octoprint, with Repetier, Fusel, and Repetier on the GitHub concerning that, and so we're looking forward to having some better communication, a little more coordination. Like if you pause a print from your LCD, yeah, that's, you can pause an SD print, but you can't pause a host print. Fortunately, the hosts actually do allow you to do that. We just had to add a couple of extras to support it. So that's one of the things. And then, also things like filament change. Maybe the host will do the filament change. Maybe the firmware will do the filament change. So we have that going on. So, okay, this is all looking good to me. M603, unload is 400. Load, I guess I need to come up with good load lengths here for M603. But otherwise, yeah, everything looks good. Okay. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the G codes pertaining to filament mixing. So let's look at the mixing extruder stuff throughout the code. As you can see, there's not a lot of mentions of it. If I do this, you can see over here, over in the above me here, in the little quick scroll area, it's pretty straightforwardly small. There's not a lot of mentions of the mixing extruder, and yet it has great effects once it's turned on. So there's just a few little interesting places where it takes effect. We're going to also look for, I want to add gradient mixing as well. And let's find out where that pertains. Okay, so there's a lot of mentions of that. So gradient mix is what we're working with, and so what I want to do is make sure that I have good debug messages and that I can check all stuff is working. So as I did before, I think I demoed in the previous video, and let me turn the printer towards myself a bit. It's at a funky angle right now. Here we go. Okay. Oh, God. Forgot my desk ends there. Okay, there we go. Okay. There you go. There you go, buddy. Okay. All right, it's right next to my ramps test board here, so maybe I want to move that out of the way. Let's clear this space. Okay, so yeah, this is where Marlin is developed, my friends, mostly. A lot of it happens there. So okay, here we go. On a ramps, because it's the lowest common denominator. I figure it makes a good, and it's like if it works on ramps, it'll probably do okay when you get an 8 times or 50 times or 100 times faster processor. Okay, so first things first. The screen works, but the wheel is unresponsive. No wheel and no click. Okay, so it's close, but not quite. I'm going to just do a reset and we'll see what happens. Maybe it was partly working and then it died. Or maybe it, I don't know. We'll see. It should have rebooted, but it did not. So but it's alive, which is very curious. Oh, you know what? I know what's going on. The screen is simply showing what it was showing before I flashed it. So the screen isn't working at all. So we're stuck on the screen. Okay, so that's what we're going to be troubleshooting now. Okay, screen, please work. this is going to be related to the pins file for the what's it called? The Geeetech pins. So let's go back to that. Right. Right, A10MD. So yeah, we have a board GT2560V3. And I believe that is what we are looking at in the A20M, according to everything I have. So let's go to this, and then I'm going to bring up, let's see, we got A20M. All right, put those side by side, and let's look at these pins, see what's going on. Why don't they match? And why is that not C++? There we go. Okay, so what we have here is, okay, servo, anyone? So I feel like this is what was going on the A20, but I've actually compiled it for, that's weird, I feel like I compiled it for the ramps and it worked at one point, which is not so strange. It's not so strange. Let me see, if I go to the Prusa i3 printer, you can see I've been messing around here, and I guess I'm not done. But, gosh, okay, well, at least I know, oh, I know why I'm here. I wanted to look at what I did to, whether the, you know, I changed anything in the pins or anything like that. So just quickly, nope. Okay, so I'm not seeing any pins related stuff. Okay. Yeah, this is a big change I've submitted. Hopefully it'll be good. But here we have, okay, let's just match them up. Those look, those guys, right, we have 2 filament runout pins. Maybe I should try isolating the issue and try turning that off in case those are somehow interfering. But I believe these are the correct pins. I should look, well actually, I know these are the correct pins, that's A20. Did I also put those in here? No, I guess I didn't. I may have just put them into the config because that's what you do. Because it differs, I believe, between some printers. Continuity pin, right. 69. Okay, then you have the X. Those look the same. Yep. I'm just using persistence of vision to compare. Like if, so if I miss anything, let me know. Okay. Oh no, there's a line added. Okay, so then they have some other pin. What's not? It's 6. So it's a light pin. Okay, that's fine. We call it case light on here. Interesting. And then there's servo. Yeah. Okay, so there's our servo pin. So that really should be at the top anyway. I don't know why, but they've always been at the top, so it's a custom. Also, does, you know, how much of this is, yeah, right, so that all looks fine. They really ought to work. Now, the important pins, of course, are down here a little lower. LED, oh, the other thing was the SD card. Does that actually work? It does come up and say SD is okay, yeah. So we know the SD card works, so that's good, at least we know that works. Well, okay, so it comes down to these pins here. So here, enable, oh, clearly different, jeez. How do I fix this then? Well, I guess what I'm going to do is take these pins and bring them over. RS, all, yeah, they're all different. Gosh, no wonder it didn't work. Okay, so let's do this, and we'll just make a note. Yeah, it was 20. Enable was, yeah, it was, so I'll just say 17. D4, yeah, 16. Okay, so those are the same. But D7 was 6. So, yeah, what's up with that? And who's RS? Who knows? Okay, so yeah. I know, right? There we go. Okay. Gosh, and then the button didn't respond. And again, same reason. Yeah, look at this. Gosh, 42, 40, 19. Okay, great. I mean, I only care about this right now. When I submit this as a PR, somebody will tell me, you know, why these pins are different, and I may mention another machine, or who knows. Who knows? But when I have to, this build is going to take a little while. So this is great. It means I can flash it, and I'm assuming our screen will work, and we can get down to testing. Great. There's a lot of new stuff in the firmware that I wouldn't mind testing, but we'll put that off for another day. Some of the latest additions are pretty cool. I'm really liking what's coming through right now. A lot of refinements to the UI and the underlying system. In the menu system, I went and reorganized a lot of that code. The actual system menu itself, the hierarchy, was a lot of nice submissions from Lulzbot, LF Objects, really great guy there. Marcio, who's always submitting really thoughtful and thought out like ideas, and really is like, I don't want to keep it's pushing me to like really rethink the way that the whole code structure ought to be, because it feels very bolt-on sometimes, and it's like when I feel that inelegance, I'm like, I know we should change something, but I don't know what. I also don't know why the YouTube chat is failing us tonight. I'm really sorry about that, but it just is. I'm just going to refresh that and see what happens. Nothing. Should I just get rid of it, you think? No YouTube chat required. Oh, there you are. Ah, look at that. Oh, there you are. Hello. It was working and then it wasn't. Now it is again. I'm not trusting it. Okay. Well, hi everyone. For those of you who have joined me, yeah, I'm getting into this, putting the firmware here onto the printer finally. A couple of times. First time the screen didn't work. I'm fixing the screen. The SD card was working though, so at least I know the hardware. I didn't fry it or do anything weird. At least not that part of it. The screen was showing the contents of the old screen, which had me confused. But the screen is persistent. It just keeps whatever the last thing you sent to it is on the screen, which is pretty cool. But it fooled me completely. Shame on me. Okay, built and flashed. Oh, we have screen. Yes, and it clicks, although there's no clicky sound. Okay, I moved Z up and down. I went in and to the main menu, and I looked at it, and I was amazed to see a couple of things. First, there's an item in the main menu called Resume Print, which was just recently added, and now that I see it there, doing nothing and having no effect, I want to kill myself for letting it get in here. It's going to get removed and moved somewhere that makes more sense, because I think the point of it is it's supposed to be there so you can like I don't even know why it's there. I'm just going to ignore it. Anyway, I'm going to remove it and ignore it. both. Oh, look, a new comment came up. Hi, do I have a working menu for loading and unloading filament on each extruder? Not precisely. Yeah, sort of. Let me see. What have I got? Change filament. Change filament E1, change filament E2. That's part of Bugfix 2.0. I should be looking at you. Hey, Bugfix 2.0. Yeah, I'm looking at the screen over here where my chat is. Hi, people. When I'm talking to you, you're over here apparently. But I should be. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's there. And if I actually have to, I do have to do a filament E2 change. So I'm going to do that right now and see what happens. Gosh, not much. Let me see if it's preheating the PLA or not. Oh, it is. Okay, so it started preheating the PLA, but it didn't jump into like a wait screen. It really should. There's a whole procedure that we've been normally following, so I didn't really test that implementation before I accepted it. But that's how we do. We got it working, but it's not working exactly the way I'd prefer, and probably you wouldn't either. Yeah, basically it just turns the nozzle on, but it doesn't give you any notification that it did so. It's rather inelegant. And then there's this resume print thing. Gosh, it's a bit of a mess. I hope that will get cleaned up really soon. I guess it'll be me. I'll probably clean it up, but there's a couple of guys who are really keen to jump on things like this. So I assume that if I wait a week, that somebody will come in and fix it up. So we have here, I should say, maybe a couple guys and gals. I don't know. We got a lot of interesting coders from all around the world contributing. So it is heating up the nozzle, but it's not going to jump into filament change right away. I know this is particularly boring. Let me. Hope you're enjoying this quiet demo. The fan is so loud. So anyway, back to our menu. As you saw before, I was playing with the VTool menu and moving around between them. And I changed VTool 1 to 4852. Right, and so when you go to toggle mix, of course, you get, I'll go back to VTool 0. When you go toggle mix, you just get this. And when you go to gradient, you get, instead of start mix, end mix, you get a VTool and an end VTool. So you can start from, 1 and 0 and go to up to whatever the mix on 1 is, and then you set your Z as usual. So that's kind of the way that it now works. So that's the idea there. It's not perfect by any stretch. And of course, you're working with a wheel and a button, so you got very limited capabilities here. But I'm going to work on that and try to refine it. There's a lot of refinement that certainly can be done with this menu system. So that's where that's at right now. So that all works. Now the question is, does the gradient stuff work? So what I can do is I can look at the current mix, which is on the screen, as I move between different Z. So first thing I'm going to do is go to Motion Home, which I remember, you may remember used to be in the top level main menu, but is now conveniently located in the submenu Motion. Okay, that's good to go. So here we go. If we go to the main info screen, we go to, and then the gradient thing also, it's something that needs to be turned on as well, right? Of course, the mixer won't always be at the top. I just put it there for convenience. So what are we looking at here? Let's take a look. Marlin inside. Back to VTool 1. Does that make it the current mix? Is VTool the currently selected tool? Indeed it is. So, but when you're doing when you have a gradient turned on, what happens? Let's take a look. Mixer, gradient. Okay, start, end, start Z, end Z. If they're the same, it's considered to be off. So let's set this up so that it goes up to, I don't want to have to move the printer too far, so let's just go up to 30 millimeters. Okay, great. So we should now, with the mixing on, see something different. Okay, you see the little caret, it says that mixing is on. So MX caret means the mix is on. So now what happens if I raise Z by some amount? Does the mix change, is the question. Let's take a look. Gosh, it takes a while to get back. Oh no, it hasn't changed at all. So that may be one of the things that I haven't done yet. So let's take a look and see what's going on with that. Whether I have to send any extra commands or do any extra steps to get gradients turned on, and then see what's going on with the mix on the screen, make sure it's displaying what we want. Like when gradients are on, I think it should display the gradient mix instead of the current tool that you have selected. So I think that's actually what's going on, is that right now we're seeing, it is showing us the current mix, which is like the current tool mix, rather than the gradient mix, which is actually now in this new version of the mixing, a little different from what's Geeetech's version, is it actually has the gradient mix as a separate mix, so that it doesn't affect the tools or the current mix at all. It's just something that gets picked up when the gradient's turned on. Okay, so let's back up and look at some code, get back to that a little bit here. Okay, let's take a quick peek. Let's see what's going on with that screen display. I think just having it display the mix would be great. So I'm going to go with, maybe I should even show like GR instead of MX, like MX for mix and then GR for gradient. I think that's a good idea. Great for English anyway. Okay, so we can put A20M Marlin away. We can go straight over here, and I'm just going to kill this printer because the fan is so loud. Oh my god. Oh my god. I love you, A20M, but your fan, oh my god. It really, I mean, blow dryers are quieter than this fan. Didn't I get rid of that YouTube chat? Goodbye. You're gone. Okay, good. Back to that. Okay. Let's take a look at where this stuff is drawn. So first thing is Ultra LCD Dog'em, and also status screen, I think I called it status status screen Dog'em. Okay, so let's look at the gradient mix here. Yeah, there we go, gradient. And what? Nothing pertaining to gradient mix here? That's peculiar. You would think it would mention it somewhere if I actually included stuff for it. Well, just for fun, I'm going to do that. But let's take a look at the, I don't know, AD. Yeah, see, there is, oh, it's dual mixing extruder. Oh, okay. Yeah, good enough. So it may be that I only need this in the case of the dual mixing extruder, because mix is something else. I don't know. We may end up making it the kind of a thing where it's an option to display your tool on the screen instead of XY, which I think makes good sense. It's good to just make XY go away when you don't need it. And there's a lot of there may be like, I think it'd be good to have like maybe a sub menu where you could pick what you want to display in that spot, and it would just, that would be what gets displayed. So that's a future option. I think I'm going to do that soon because I like that idea a lot. I just don't like XY. They're just not useful during a print. I mean, it keeps the screen active. It looks cool, like stuff's changing, but okay. So first things first. Go to back to the gradient stuff and look at the enabled. It says MX. Okay, so I'm going to say instead GR, and then yeah, see now here, yeah, so we do this here. We'll say if gradient enabled, then and then we don't need all this FMT stuff. I can just put it here. Okay, good. That's enough of that. Feeling good, but it's mixer gradient mix though, I believe. Mixing, yes, mixing.h. I'm prepared. Okay, so yeah, show me the gradient. Show me my gradient type that I made. Okay, good. Start mix, end mix, okay. And then, yeah, so then there's also in the, was it in the planner? Find gradient, yeah, gradient, yeah, or mixer gradient, yeah. Mixer gradient control, right. So it all happens here. This is where it all happens, people. Can you believe it? Update gradient for current Z is where all the magic happens. Can you believe this is all it takes to make a gradient in Marlin? I know, there's a little more to it, but it leverages some stuff. Okay, so we're getting gradient minus start. So it is called gradient NZ, and then gradient nmix, and then update gradient from mix updates gradient dot color. So it's Yeah, great. That's what we want. It's been a while since I've touched this code. I think about a week. There's been just so much good stuff coming in. I just can't get over it. And great discussions on Discord. It's really become a good space for talking about this kind of stuff. You can post code snippets and things, which is nice. Okay, so let's look for, let's go back to our status screen. I believe we just want gradient.color. I want to say 0, but I feel like color 0 is wrong because we don't want the 0 to 255 weird stuff. We want the actual mix. So I wonder, I guess it's possible I didn't bother to store it. Let's take a look. Okay, so copy mix to color, yeah. Update gradient from mix, yeah. I see nothing here relating to that. So there is actually a way I can get the values out, I think. It's just I'd have to convert them on the fly. I mean, it's not a big deal. But it's a question of whether I want to have a variable where it's converted on the fly and then stuck in there and saved, and then maybe save a little bit of time but use up RAM. I really don't like to use RAM at all when if possible when making code for Marlin. So what I'm going to try and do is get this to work without using any RAM. So let's get into that real quick, and then I'll take a pause to look at your questions in a minute. So okay, so we do have this stuff, and I do have all this, like, I do a lot of debugging in here. I just didn't turn it on. It just makes the console just keep moving up, and it gets a lot annoying. I'm sure there's stuff I could turn off. Anyway, okay, so I'm looking at this stuff. I'm looking at gradient start mix, right, and I do have all these very interesting methods for doing very interesting things. One is to, where is it? I know there's a conversion routine. Update mix from vtool. Yeah, that's kind of it right there. So, but it, copy mix to color. Okay, that's getting close. Right. Oh gosh. Tell me I have some kind of conversion routine here. It must be somewhere. That's peculiar. So I've normalized, get current vtool, populate block, update mix from vtool. My apologies for all this confusion. Okay. Well, this is what I want to do, but I don't want to update mix. I want to use, I mean, I could temporarily update mix and then restore it to its previous values, but I don't want to do that either. Let's see when this is called and how often. Okay, update mix from vtool is called when? Mixer gradient start end in M166. Makes sense to do it there. Set it from a virtual tool. Here, mixer update mix from vtool happens here. That's interesting. Oh, okay, well, in that case, it should have already, well, no, wait. Okay, clearly I'm confused. It should only happen here. And now we need, I want to say update mix from gradient, but I don't want to mess with the mix. Oh, you know what? I guess mix, now that I think about it, mix is fine to use. Let's do it that. How do you like that? I like it a lot. And oh, obviously I should do this too. enabled gradient mix, then do all this stuff. And you'll really, if you're a C++ person, please forgive this. I know. This is how we roll in Marlin land. Okay, great. So, you know, I just feel like if, well, okay, fine. It's called for a lot of places, so I'm going to just go with it. I wish I knew why. So let's see, when menu mixer calls it also, so that when you edit it, yeah, I guess it's basically just there for display purposes. That's the only reason it exists. So let's do that. And it's mostly debug, as you can see, anyway. So that's it. Oh, and I gotta get rid of this J crap. Okay, there we go, right? No vtool. There is no vtool. Okay. Right, so yeah, this little loop here that I have in as a placeholder, that's there for when we have lots of different tools, or I should say more than 2 channels. Right now it's just the 0 and 1, but like clearly there's going to be more mixing than just 2. But these are for the 2 stuff. At least we can fit it on the screen, which is the whole reason for this. This menu stuff, being able to display it on the screen is nice. So there we go. Okay, I think that might do it. I want to say that will do it. So we do have it. It is there. It does exist. I guess I'll do this again. You could argue that this is not needed because any methods and functions that are not used at all by code later get stripped out. I guess I justify this kind of stuff by the fact that it gives you a much more explicit sense of what the dependencies are throughout the code. You can always tell that this code won't exist if that feature isn't enabled and so forth. But yeah, the point is certainly taken. I look at large code bases like Linux, and they blow my mind with how sounding austere they are, and not really decorated as much. There's good comments usually, but yeah, each code base has its own style and kind of its own gestalt, its own paradigm, man. And this one is no different. It's very much a unique and very unique code base. I mean, it's kind of like it started out being this very informal C++ style. Not really. I mean, it definitely followed certain conventions based on what was in Gerbil and based on what was on Sprinter's style. And so those styles sort of what came together and formed the initial seed of what later became the snowball, the hailstone that is now Marlin, which I guess we'll be renaming Hailstone soon. Okay, so this is building, linking, and it's going to give me that warning again, and then we'll be able to flash. First I have to power up the machine, and here goes literally nothing. Now, something's going to happen here. This is going to be great. The mix will show up on the screen as it should, and we'll be back in our happy place again. Okay, A20M ready. Flashing. It's all looking good. Okay, rebooted. Bug fix 2. Okay, again. Let's get back over here and take a look. Oh, hello. So if I don't know what it is with the temperatures fluctuating like that, it makes me think weak capacitor on the power input, but I don't know. I mean, that's just because that's what the CR10s had on their boards, and then that got fixed. Maybe the boards in here have that issue. I don't know, but they're definitely a little bit. They're definitely a little weird. I don't see why they jump up and down so much. Anyway, analog to digital conversion. Maybe it's just a noise somewhere. Okay, back to our mixer. Let's go and immediately just simply go to a gradient that goes from tool. Well, I'm going to initialize these differently soon. It's going to be from 0 to 1 just because they start from tool 0 and they go all the way to tool 1. And then we'll do our start ZNZ and guess, yeah, in the 30 range. Be good. Oh, just missed it. Okay. Take a look at the mixer, mix, current mix, and yeah, let's auto home as well. I believe this should have no effect on my mixing setup. Okay, apologies for the blurry. The camera's being funky that way. Okay, there we go, that's better. Okay, oh, I just auto homed again. All right, main. Info. Gradient, look, it says GR now. Okay, so the gradient mix is 100 and 0. And I guess I could probably save a space, but it's fine. Okay, here we go. It should simply change as Z changes. That's the idea here. All right, about a quarter of the way. And, oh gosh, I should put more debug in here. Oh, it's still 100-0. Let's find out why. Could it be that my gradient flag is like not getting turned on? Could it be that the mix is not being updated? Could it be that my display code is somehow flawed? There's only one way to find out, and that's to start on the debug train. So here we go, a debug happening here. Oh, pardon me. Look, notifications. It's time to turn those off. Okay, where was I? Oh yes, gradients. What's up with the gradients? Why is it not showing up? Well, first things first. Let's turn on the debugs. And upload some more code. A little debug output for our benefit. Let's see what we got. Okay. Build, upload, and we'll take a little moment to address the chat. Hello, chat. How are you guys doing? Yep, David, you probably saw. Yeah, it only worked for E0. It didn't work for E1. What the heck? What was up with that? Okay, so yeah, everything's come back, I think. Rough night in Thicky Headland. Yeah, I got this cold. It's true. It's not great. So anyway, my audio came back, so I figured out it was, I don't know why. I thought I had everything set up even for that view. I think I just got switched around. So anyway, what's up with this? We need a real GUI. No kidding. I've been trying to make a nice configurator, and I don't mind giving you a moment to, yeah. I don't mind giving you, yeah, it could be a poor quality thermistor with all that jumping around. I don't know, maybe the wires are too long. I mean, I don't even know. I can't imagine. But yeah, let me take give you a quick view of something here. And that is, let's see, is it raw git? I believe raw git is going away soon, but in the meantime, yeah, there was this whole configuration tool I started building a while ago, and what it does is it reads the configurations right off of GitHub. So you could, and then I was going to pop up a menu in the corner somewhere around here where you could, probably just above the configs, where you would select the configuration that you want to use from GitHub, and it would just, pull them in, and then you could mod your settings, and then this actually works. You can, all of this is in the browser. None of this is server side. Everything that you see in here all happens with JavaScript. So even downloading a zip, it takes the text out of here, turns them into the contents of a zip file, zips them up, and presents a downloaded file, just as if you had downloaded it off of a server, but it just comes right out of your browser. It's just being invented. So yeah, it's pretty cool, and each of these can be downloaded individually as well, just as an H file. So yeah, it's magic. I found a little library that zips things for you, so nice. And all of these fields are just, these are populated from the configuration itself, which is why I added these little section markers that you can see here. Each of these little section markers specifies which of these tabs the fields underneath it are going to show up in. So your motherboard shows up here and other things. So all of these are here. And then like when you see an option like this where it says, you've just seen these in the configs where it has / and then colon and then some data. This is actually just a little piece of JSON that contains the available values for serial port. So when you go to select a serial port, you only see those values. And I can see those, all these helps bubbles are just populated from the comment that is above or next to your option. So it figures out the text from the comment, pulls it into a bubble. It's all collated when the files are loaded so that it can be very fast. And all of these are generated dynamically instead of like, these aren't just elements that are existing and then get revealed. They're actually just one element that gets populated as needed. So all this stuff happens like in real time too. Like if I change this, it goes down to the option inside the file, highlights it, scrolls down, and changes it, and you can see // no // right? So it's a nice little GUI, but it needs more work. I've been debugging it, and it's getting closer. And it operates in the browser, so the idea is that it can be anywhere, all platforms, instant loading, open source, completely available, no problem. This idea of having deployments of a Mac version and stuff. And then, of course, it can be on your website, it can be on many websites, it can be in any place, and of course it can run from your desktop as well. Even this download stuff actually works from within the context, so-called security context of running as a file. So you can just drag the index.html onto your browser and it still works. It goes to GitHub, it gets the files, using the GitHub API. Yeah, it's very smart, and in the end you get, the configs you need. The one thing that's missing is this is the expert interface that you see here, which I was going to build first. Build the expert interface first, and then turn it into a set of wizards, or basically these will all become tabs on the side, but then it'll be the main one would be, just go through the steps and have like simple config, kind of like the 1040 EZ form. You don't have to fill out everything, you just have to fill out the things that pertain to what you need. And so it would actually go through and just give you start with a top level list, like filament sensor, do you need, how many extruders, just like the main stuff, and then it would even have the Prusa calculator, so-called Prusa calculator, built into it that calculates your steps per millimeter and stuff, and can, stick that info into your config file. And, also it might put like a comment at the top, like generated by this configurator with a link, that when you click the link, it takes you to the configurator and reproduces all your options, and just like they're already there. Like it could use some kind of, I don't know, clever hash or oct bin 64 bin encoding or something, I don't know. But you could easily, imagine some way of having all the configs like just consolidated. I don't know, maybe a zip or something, I don't know. I don't know what you'd do. The link would be huge, I do admit. But maybe if it was just a diff between some config and the changes you made, and then that was consolidated, that could be manageably small. And in fact, there's a lot of really good stuff in this app that I've built, and I'll do a demo of the code here, the JavaScript. It's all built in jQuery, and so it's very easy to like do so many things in here. Of course, yeah, there's the drop files. You can drop your own files on the configurator. So yeah, thanks for asking about this, because it's something that I really want to do more work on. It's just finding the time between dealing with issues and trying to implement some like new features, and especially the 32-bit support, and doing stuff like this. They all add up after a while, and I find myself like, I'm going to work on the JavaScript? No, I think I'll just eat ice cream and lie down on the floor for a while instead. So, but this is coming along. It's getting there. I debugged it recently, and I've been testing it with the latest configs, because it, as things change, it needs to parse differently. A lot of the stuff that's really cool, things like if you have an if enabled dual X carriage, like what's dual X carriage? Where's that? It's in machine, right? I assume. So if we go to like turn on dual X carriage, is it here? It's got to be, right? All of the features are here. Maybe it's an extra, I forget. Let me find something that I can turn on that demonstrates what I'm trying to get to is that there are dependencies, like here's a field that can be turned on and off, but also has a value. So it puts a little checkbox next to it, so you can turn it off and give it no value if you want. And same here, but then there's also features which, like, here's filament runout sensor. Oh, sorry about the jumpiness. I don't know why it does that. But if I click filament runout sensor, boom, see the options that pertain actually turn on. So it all knows that because it sees this, so it can decide, oh yeah, I need to allow these features. And fill runout inverting. I don't know why it's constable here. That's really strange. But that's going to go away and be a normal option. Actually, this might be an older config. I'm probably looking at an older config with the one on raw git. I'm not sure. I've been uploading it, so could be the latest. Anyhow, or near latest. But yeah, all this stuff is here to be, just extended and finished. I've got it published on GitHub. I'll put a link in the doobly-doo. So yeah, thanks for asking about that. I'll show off a bit more later, at a later time. So where were I? Oh, right. Besides the Prusa multi-material stuff, which I was talking about earlier, before a lot of you got here, I was just describing the fact that we have this pull request here. So if you just happen to notice that as I was jumping back to the code. Yeah, MMU2, which means if you have a direct drive extruder or even a Bowden possibly, you can probably order yourself up a Prusa MMU2 and you'll be able to use it without having to use Prusa's firmware or a Prusa MK3 or any kind of 2.5 or whatever. You can, just put it on your direct drive cheap machine or whatever you happen to have. And who knows, maybe you can even, if somebody figures out how to get it to work well with a Bowden, that would be great. I would love to see the MMU2 working with a Bowden. But yeah, I'm so excited about the code being added that I'm thinking of getting one myself. I think it would be great to play with the MMU. It's got, what, 5 inputs or something? And I don't know, when I first saw it at the East Coast the Midwest Rep Rap Festival, it was just sitting on a table, like inconspicuously, like grinding back and forth, and there wasn't even a sign next to it or anything. There were just maybe some pamphlets like saying this is what we're doing, and I just was mesmerized looking at it and going, that looks like a really good idea, because yeah, it was one motor, and yet you got, you know, the same benefits of having tool changing without having all the motors that were on the MK, you know, the MK3 single nozzle multi-material unit there. So that was pretty exciting. I like that. So anyway, that I hope you'll consider upgrading to Marlin 2.0 just for that feature. Okay, so back to the firmware testing. I want to connect to the terminal, take a look at the extra output. So yeah, see, it's every time it displays on the screen, it does this little VTool to mix conversion. So let's turn on the mixing and see what changes. So I'm just going to go mixer, turn on the gradient, go to the start VTool is 0, end VTool 1, start Z 0, end Z, let's make it 20 or so. Okay, so now you can see if I go back to the main, it now says 0, 0 to mix 0, 100. Okay, that's peculiar, clearly. So I'm thinking I haven't maybe set the gradient colors in any sense. I think that gets set when Z changes. So let's take a look very quickly here at Planner and see what's going on when the gradient stuff happens. So mixer gradient control occurs at when the planner is populating a block. And it's not being passed anything. It should be using, it's using current position. I think it should probably pass a Z to it instead of current position, but for now, we'll just bear with me while I check, because it should at least do something, right? Current Z is greater than gradient NZ, or if NZ is less than gradient start Z, then gradient enabled is false. So if they, if the current position goes over the NZ or the end is less than the start, then it gets turned off. So, but if it's enabled, it updates the gradient for the current Z, and in that case, let's make sure we understand what's going on here. Slice, right? I believe this is right, and then it updates gradient from mix. So it does set a mix in the case of, you know, changing of just basically from the planner itself. Anytime it populates a block, it changes. So let's do the move again as we were talking about before. And see what we get. Alright, so blocks have been added, things have moved, and now the screen says, okay, I'm seeing something. So it is turning it into a color, but then it's not converting the color to the mix. It says 128.0 to mix, so it should be this color 127.0, but I don't know. I'm gonna move up further, and I mean it should. Gosh, I feel like it should be moving further or changing more. Let's see what's going on. Z. All right. Okay. Back to the main menu. Mixer. Just checking the gradient. what did I set the top to? Okay, so I'm at 16 now, and the top is like 17. So now it's showing gradient as, let's see, oh gosh. If I disconnect, it'll stop scrolling. Oh, stop auto scrolling, thank you. Okay, so if I can go back to here, so there's where I was setting that stuff. Here's where I moved Z again. Mix 7.0 to color 120. Yeah, this is all not looking quite right. So something is screwy. Let's do some debugging in a more appropriate place. We'll just debug exactly what we want instead of everything. So when the mixer gradient enabled is enabled, update mix from gradient is called, and then mixer mix is used here. So what's up with that? Gosh, I need to turn on a little light on my keyboard, clearly. Otherwise I miss the keys. All right, so why? Okay. Let's do that at least. Okay, gradient color. Well, okay, well, what does it all mean? Looks fine to me. I don't know. I don't know about you guys, but it looks okay to me. Gonna go with I don't know quite what's going on. It's mysterious. The thing is, I mentioned it last time in the last stream that the new mixer code is great. It's very tight and very optimized, but I don't quite get it. It's a little bit what's the word? Definitely opaque. It's you have to really understand the theory of what it's doing in terms of how it's using integers to produce a nice blend, which is an improvement over what was being done in Marlin 119. And so, okay, here we go. It's writing. Let's at least get the gradient mix and nothing else. Also, yeah, update mix from gradient. Gosh, I mean, where else would I want to use it? Only there. Here's an interesting thing I think you can do. I like that one. C++ purists? I know. I believe what C++ does is basically literally puts this down in here in the body of the function. So it's not so shocking, really, that you can refer to things other than constants inside of here. It's a little weird, but yeah, it works. Sorry, my voice is a little rough. Speaking of roughness, oh hey Brian, what's up? I'm streaming from that laptop. Uh, let's see who else is here. Hi. Oh yeah, that's the one. You can show that link. Let's see. In 118, the gradient mix doesn't change on the LCD when moving Z via the menu either. I know, it's an improvement I'm trying to make, actually. Thank you for the question, 1Z. Comment, 1Z Radio. Let's see. Who else is here? Oh, Chris from Practical Printing is here. Hey, Chris. What's going on? Brian Vines, of course, from BD3D. And let's see, this is super cool, and I look forward to seeing more of it. Yeah, me too. I like you know, exposing the kind of, you know, this whole process a bit, demystifying it somewhat. I mean, it is a bunch of code. Believe me, there's a lot of code, but you know, taken piece by piece, it can be sort of sorted out and understood. So yeah, I hope it and it helps to see, like, you know, what goes into making it work in this you know, in this environment. So let's see what's going on. If I go back to the mixer and mess with some things. So once again, gradient, I want to make sure that I have that right. The gradient flag stuff, I think was the it's definitely turned on because it does say GR, and it does print the gradient, which is correct. So I'm thinking maybe it's the way I've done it in the planner has something to do with it. So let's take a look at the mixer. Sorry. Excuse me. Oh goodness. So yeah, populate block from planner. Maybe it would be good to do it earlier. Let's take a look. Populate block is called from buffer steps, which is called from, and you can see there are a lot of places where it, you know, it can get bailed out, but not too early. There's only if cleaning the buffer basically, so I'm not worried about that. Buffer steps, on the other hand, is then called from various places, but one of them is buffer segment, and here we actually get target positions in millimeters. So I guess this is really the place where I would want to do the gradient stuff. So let's go to buffer segment and put it there. First. So yeah, this is kind of just trying to save time, but I'm going to go back to there and just stick it up in here where if, yeah, this is taking millimeters. So I can skip this, you know, basically wait till the last possible moment to do the update. Just before buffer steps, I suppose. And then I would also use, oh, I'd like to use C. Unfortunately, this is there's an interesting fact here, which is that if you're using a delta, this wouldn't work because it thinks that, yeah, so I don't know, what should I use? What should I do? I mean, the gradient control is sort of fine, but all right, let's see. Instead of buffer segment, let's go back to that. Who calls buffer segment? Lots of things call buffer segment using, and you know, kinematically converted and stuff. Gosh, the place I would think to do it would be maybe here. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. Well, since we're in debug mode, I think what I'm going to do is yeah, So buffer line will actually do the translation if needed. So that would be a thought. Also, you may wonder, like, what is the are we specifying the start Z, end Z in terms of machine coordinates or in terms of what? And all I can say is, I guess, native machine coordinates, not logical. So if you had your workspace shifted, you'd still maybe just go from 0 to 100, and that would still be the first 100 millimeters of your object, even if you shifted Z for some reason. So it's kind of what I'm thinking, although usually with G-codes, your G-code gets is always referring to the current workspace. So I may go for workspace in those coordinates. Well, I don't know. I think maybe I'll just go with looking at when gradient control is getting called and see how often. Yeah, so if gradient enabled, what can you do? Now you'd imagine like it would be great to have a remote debugger hooked up to the board, watching everything change in real time. Yeah, that would be great. But when you're developing on this machine and that machine, it's hard to start taking them apart and sticking JTAG headers on every board, and some of them don't even have them. So yeah, it'd be fun to test more of this maybe on my little remote board where I can do more of that kind of experimental stuff. But also with the AVR processors, you don't get very good debugging at all. You might be able to stop, start, and step the processor if you're lucky. But I don't know what else you might be able to do. It's an interesting question. I think maybe you even have to put a special bootloader on it or something. That'd be kind of cool if there was like a debug bootloader where you would like hook up Marlin, run it on the debug bootloader, and see what happens. Okay, next. All right. So the mix is nothing special showing right now because the gradient stuff isn't turned on. Turning on the gradient by setting the NZ to 20.3. Start tool is 1, which is all the way to the second extruder. And the result that I see is that the gradient is correct, assuming that it's starting from the right point. So now I'm going to do a very quick, we'll just do a G28. And a quick great. And then a check, yep, still gradient on, good. What was the earlier version? Was it still saying 0, 0? It was. So why does it say 0, 0? Because that, I believe, is correct. It's based on the fact that it is 0 out of 100 right now. So let's go and tweak it. Let's see what happens if I swap it around. I should have it, I should definitely make it so that it updates after this point, if it hasn't already. Okay, so it has not updated. So now I'm going to do a quick G1, like Z1, just a real simple move. And here's what we get. Okay, we're now at now we're at 128.0. Okay, because I did change it. So I should, when I change it, I should definitely make sure to call and update the gradient itself. If you've edited it, that would make sense. That is to say, the current value. And I guess the current value should really be based on also your current Z and all that. So now let's do a G1Z. I think I set it to 20, so let's go halfway. And yeah, the gradient has not updated, but gradient control did get called once. It got called once. Let's try again, G1Z11. All right. Again, gradient control called again, but gradient is not being updated. It is still, in fact, it is reverted to 100 to 0. Let's take a look at M166. I believe, yeah, mix on from Z0 to Z2, 20.3. So it does tell us the mix is on, and it goes from 100%, 0% to 0%, 100%. So that is to say tool 1 to tool 0. So it's all there. It is on. And I should probably make a note here that this is like T1 and this is T0 in this output. But for now, it does tell us everything is ready to go. So why does the result come out that the gradient equals this and the mix equals this? Why? Let's take a look at gradient control. First off, that's a kind of a C convention, so we're just going to drop it. It basically means that it can't take any arguments, whereas when you put void there, you're good, you're good, okay. And it's just a little reminder, because I think you can pass as many arguments as you want without it, but I don't know if that's a C++ thing. Maybe someone can enlighten me. Remind me of why we do and don't use void as an argument anymore. Make void functions taking void and methods taking void. Okay, so great. What the heck is going on? So back to gradient control. If the gradient is enabled, call gradient control. Hey, you know what? It looks like, well, yeah, it did call it twice, right? G1, Z10, hey. Okay, yeah. So it calls it the one time when it changes its position, or when it buffers that segment, based on the current position, that is the destination of that segment, in terms of Z. So most of the time your Z is going to be pretty much Z all the time, same Z, same Z. Update gradient for current Z could do things here like remember the old Z and only update it when the Z changes. For now, we're not optimized because Geeetech wasn't optimized. Quite far from it. So, okay, what next? So, end Z minus start Z. Well, I guess the thing to do here would be to, it looks to me like, yeah, mix sub I equal, yeah, maybe this is what's wrong here. Let's get rid of this. And we'll just use the, yeah, so what is this? Small start mix plus end mix minus start mix times percent. Is that correct? Let's ask Geeetech. Did I call it gradient control in that one? I think I might have still called it gradient control just because, yeah, I think I kept it gradient control just because. Okay, and then there's gradient change. And here it's just passing all the stuff. So you can, I guess so it can be used more generally. And gosh, let's take a look. Okay, so start, in this case it's using percentages, it's not using the funky mix stuff, the color stuff that we're using. This is where it gets interesting. So yeah, start mix is mix. Maybe, is it possible that start mix gets set? Let's take a look. I am not seeing start mix equaling something, but oh, it's bloody this. So let's see what happens. Yeah, it's never getting assigned, so I think that might be part of the issue. Okay, so clearly I need to do something like populate that. I guess that was something I was hoping for to do later. Okay, well that's good because it's easier to convert from a mix to a color than the other way around, I think. Now let me make sure I understand what's going on here. The start in virtual tools, and then I have start mix number of mixing steppers, end mix number of mixing steppers. And these are the mixes, not the colors. So note, word to the wise, I'm using mix in the gradient stuff because it's just easier to work with. So let's see what's going on with that. Okay, so update the gradient mixes. Update mix from the vtool, start vtool. There you go, start mix is mix. So start mix does get this. So when does update gradient mixes get called? In a few places. Okay, so that's good. I assume the menu mostly. Yeah, indeed. So when you've edited your mix, we're calling back to the to update the mixes. So that's pretty much it. Start tool, end tool does update the mixes. Starts the NZ, I guess, also should. So I'm going to go with that. How to do this one? Let's see. This is a submenu, and when you go to edit it, but it's not an edit item, it's this. And when you're done, it calls commit gradient, presumably, and commit gradient sets it enabled, but it never calls not gradient control, but the other thing. What is it? Start vtool. Yeah. So I'm thinking if mixer gradient enabled. I know, right. You can hate me for that. Let's see. Okay, I'm going to call into the mixer gradient update thingy. So, what were we looking for before? Update gradient mixes. Okay, let's see how that works. And okay. Good for me. Good for you. Okay, let's try it. Oh, I'm sure we can trust it to get called when it's supposed to, right? Yeah, I'm thinking it makes a little bit of sense, but the start mix and end mix, I don't know. They really shouldn't matter to the changing of Z. But if you've got something called mixer commit gradient, it seems just sensible to do the right thing here. And I have some placeholders for things I might use later. But yeah, this looks like I'm just doing it on just when I'm committing Z. Yeah, there it is, start Z and Z. So that's pretty funny. That it's only called from there. So otherwise, yeah, what happens if I edit the gradient itself? It calls back to the update gradient mixes. I see. Well, it seems to me like it should almost, I guess it doesn't count as being turned on, but it should. I feel like, yeah, I feel like this should be the callback instead. So, look, it happened anyway. There we go. So that'll work for those anyway. So all uploaded. Once again, we get to watch the through a glass darkly. What the heck is going on? So once again, if we start out with M166, we see that mix is off. We go to the mixer, turn the gradient on by setting the NZ to something around 20. We go to the main screen and we see that the gradient is turned on and its current value is 0, 100, which, since the gradient goes from VTool 1 to VTool 0, seems a little wrong. So something's not getting updated. Let me see once again. Okay, it's now at, again, 0, 100. Let's check 166 again. Obviously on. Mix goes from 0, 100, 0 to 20. And the mix itself just hasn't been updated. I think the idea was that I was planning to call that, but I never did. So let's do that. Update gradient mixes and also call. Is it update gradient? No, not update gradient. Is it just gradient control? Should I just call it gradient control? Control. Yeah. Do I want to like have it turn it off automatically if you've messed with things? Do I need to? I think I'm just going to call this one. I'll go with that just for now. It may make more sense to do it the other way around later. So what is it? Menu mixer. Here we go. Right. All right, we're updating the gradient for the current Z, and that's going to make all the difference in the world. Just you wait. Okay, uploading. I'm going to take a break here, and while it's uploading, and say hi to everyone. So yeah, it's a bit late. Good night, Chris. Yeah, I know it's a little on the late side and kind of lately announced, but I work on a strange schedule, and this I tried to do it during the day the last couple of days, but it was just my cold was just too much. Anyway, coffee? David, he must be in his time zone different from me. Yeah, so is it gradient from VTool 0 to 0? Well, that would be weird if you went from VTool 0 to VTool 0. But yeah, it's a good question. Is it going from 0 to 0? Actually, I did check, and the output seems to confirm that it's got the right settings in many cases. So in now, the mix, okay, it's now at 100, 0 as usual. M166 gives us the output. Current. I should probably have it give it the current mix when I do gradient, the output of M166 too. I can see that being useful. For now, it'll be on the screen. Anyway, mixer, gradient, I still have going from 1 to 0, which means from the right to the left. Extruder, or 2 to 1, depending on how you have them arranged. And okay, I'll just set it to 30 so I don't go too far over accidentally. 8, 9, 30. Okay. And now when I go to the main screen, I see that gradient is on, and currently it is using, yep, it's at tool 2. Okay, good. It is correct. Now if we do our G28 and our G1Z, I don't know, 15, we should see, 0, 0, huh? What is going on, gradient? Look at that. Back to 0. Okay, we're seeing something interesting. G1, Z1. Oh, anything non-zero is acting up strangely. So it seems to be the conversion from using the Z to determine the current gradient is what's going on. It may be that the mix variables, again, are not being saved, but they should be. Again, by virtue of this update gradient mixes, it should be getting updated. But once again, we'll take a quick look. Update mix from VTool, copy mix to color. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, okay, no, that's normal. Okay, so once I've updated the mix, I copy the mix, and then I update the mix, copy the mix. So I'm cheating there a little, just by doing it that way. But then we have copy mix to color based on the gradient color. Copy mix to color, update gradient mixes. I feel like maybe this is where it's going wrong, is update mix from VTool, but because you get the total, right? And I believe I did that. And then you, oh, I don't know. Let's see. Let's take a look at the output again real quick. Yeah, don't you wish you could just say M166 question mark and it would tell you what to do? Someday. M166, I suppose on the 32-bit processors, we got plenty of room for that kind of stuff, so. But, maybe we'll make a special file on the SD card where it just grabs the help from the SD and prints it. That's an idea. That way everybody can have a little extra help on their printer. Okay, so M166, I gotta look it up. It's a new invention, so. Right, so let's use this just to make it simple for ourselves. Skip the screen altogether. So we have M166, S1, start, end, and then PQ, which is like, again, I'm using 2-component only. This is a 2-component mixer, so I really should be using the dual mixing thing here instead of the gradient mix, but we'll get around to that. And it has a lot of outputs, so it'll help us here. So let's try it and see what we get. Right, okay, on from Z0 to Z20, G1, Z1, right, G1, Z0. Yeah, I feel like something's missing. So it is definitely on. Let's go halfway. Yeah, something's screwy. What is up with this? What is up with this? Gosh. So why, for example, is gradient color 0? Well, actually, I don't know why we're even doing that. Update mix from gradient. Remind me again why we do this. Update mix from the gradient. I think we want to just use the mix, just come up with our intermediate mix. I think what I want to do is update mix from gradient in the sense that that's interesting. Okay, so something weird's going on here. Gradient color, which we don't. Let me see. So gradient color. Let's see where gradient color again is getting updated, and we'll just take a look at that. Copy mix to color. This is where we want to have some serious debugging. So I think this is where it's this is where the mess is kind of happening here. So I've been going since about 11. I'm going to cut this off probably in about 30 minutes. just because I don't like to make these things too long. They're unwieldy to edit, and they just are a hassle to manage. But also, I probably won't be up much longer after that. Just have to rest up for this to get over this cold. But I'll be coming back on very soon, maybe even tomorrow, because I just want to continue this process and get it over with as quickly as possible and make it as good as possible. And thank you for pointing out the stuff about the filament change being screwy. If that hasn't been posted already as a bug up on GitHub, I'll do that. That's just annoying. And then also the thing of being in the main menu now, that is dumb. I just want to get that. I just want to get rid of that. So that'll be removed soon. Okay, here we are again. Let's go back to our M166, G28 for us. Right, G1Z1 mix. Okay, so the mix is being converted to a color is 00 at this stage. Let's go to G1Z10. Okay, the mix again has not been updated, mix to color, so something funky going on there. That mix should be proportional, and that's probably what's getting lost here. And then I think once the mix has been updated, I'm wondering if I need to update it later at all. I think mix is only used for the display, so it may be that I don't have to update it quite as often. In any case, it's clearly screwed up. Something about the gradient control stuff, I think, is what's going on. So let's take a look at the gradient control and update gradient for current Z. So I think this is where we're running into our issue here. So let's make some extra output. And okay, so we have our, here I'm doing a loop, so right, for each channel we do this, so we want to say, yeah, let's do this. And I guess I can just ignore that. So the mix of this ends up being mix. All right. does it all mean? This is going to be interesting. And then you, after this is done, update the gradient from the mix. What? Oh, well, yeah, that makes sense. It's updating the gradient color, that's why. Which, you know, is based on the mix. So we're taking the start mix, end mix, we're getting the difference, we're getting the current, you know, value. Oh, and yeah, percentage. So you can see the percentage is listed here, and then yeah, for each of these, we do that, and then yeah. So okay, let's see how this works here for us. Maybe that'll give us the info we need to solve this perplexing puzzle, or not. Here goes something. Let's see what M166 tells us. So there's a lot of curiosity about this new M166 command all these kids are using these days. Oh, I can't do that yet. It is uploading. Oh, stop that. Don't mess with my write. I screwed up my write. Sorry. You should never open a serial terminal while you're trying to flash. So I have to wait for it to time out and then do again. Fortunately, it'll be pretty quick. It'll be quick. Hurry it up. Come on. We're having fun with code here. Gosh, I hope this all works. Eventually. I'm really excited to get this just out because I like the 1.18 firmware that they've done, but I really want to move up to 2.0 and do more testing of especially the mixing and kind of the more fancy features involving dual X and things like that. Those are the hardest things for me to test for sure. Okay, have you done timing out or what? Are you done? How many times is it going to do this? There's no easy way to cancel it either without basically quitting Arduino and starting it up again, which I guess I could do. I think I may have hit the button twice, and which is why it might want to output 20 messages. I don't know. I'll give it 3 more messages and that's it. Oh, it's already up to like 25 here, just about. I don't know what it is, but go ahead, fill up the window, see what happens. It's definitely not uploading at this point. Alright, let's come right back. Everything should be right where we left it. France, well, okay. Yeah, this is a good time zone in France. Actually, since it's Friday, I can probably, maybe it's a good time to get in touch with UK, talk to E3D about that tool changer. I was talking about the tool changer earlier. The tool changer system, keep an eye out for that. It's gonna be interesting. I can't wait to get into playing with it. Okay, so here we are once again. You can see I'm using Arduino 185 today. All right, let's do this thing. Oh yeah, I reloaded, so we gotta wait. All right, let's take a quick look. Trying to recall where we were. I'm pretty sure that this mix function, update gradient for current Z, is somehow wrong, and that is what we're going to determine. So here we go. Once this is uploaded, we're going to do an M166. We're going to do a little moving around, and we're going to see what we get. The current Z. Update the gradient for the current Z. Oh, build faster. Please build faster. Why you build so slow? I feel like I should bring over the microphone just as a prop, you know, just to have it. They make good props. Hello, my babies. We're here tonight to talk about Marlin firmware. This is my non-working microphone. Makes a great prop, though. I prefer the lavalier mic. It seems to work better. I have a really long cord, so I can run all over this room, but I won't. Not tonight. Jesus, compile is taking a long time. I'm complaining. I think this would probably be quicker if I was using Platform.io. Which again is something that if you've seen, say, Chris's Basement, he talks about Platform.io. A couple other folks have been playing with it in Marlin and posting videos. We have a bit of instruction online about it on the website. Not much new going on the Marlin website, I should mention. There are a couple new G codes. There's been some edits here and there. The banner at the top is cute. My good friend and assistant Lou created that Outrun style logo. I thought it was pretty cool. But I'd like to try some other styles too, kind of like MTV with their logo. Alright, it looks like the printer's up and running. Let's try it. Yeah, flash of a motion system. I saw that for a second. Ha! I'm not showing you my shopping cart yet. It's quite expensive by itself, I must say, but not very. I mean, considering what you would expect to pay for something like a motion system, like the E3D motion system, it's really reasonable. Astoundingly reasonable in terms of cost. Like once I did everything on the shopping cart, I was amazed. Okay, so we've got it. Let's connect. Let's get that M166 command out and use it. See what we get. Okay, mix on. Okay, it is, I believe, correct. Interesting. Okay, so here's where we're getting our output. Okay, mixer, gradient control, slice is 20, percentage 0. So there's our problem. For some reason my percentage is 0. Okay, let's try that again. G1Z11. Okay, now my percentage is 0.5. However, what is this nonsense? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, even at 0.5. So something is clearly weird here. So we know the slice is 20. We know that's the difference between the two. The percentage is indeed 0.5, but it's being updated late, I feel like, clearly. Yeah, this is some weird stuff. Okay. Yeah, there's another thing about moves is like when you set a move in the planner, the current position doesn't actually get updated until after the move. So, shame on you for not pointing that out to me. Just kidding. I need to call gradient control and pass the current Z from like the actual Z that's given in the block. So I believe the block actually does have position float in it. and we're going to just make that a mandatory thing. So when the block is populated, we're just going to say mixer gradient control, target float, z-axis. All right. Okay, that should do us some good. Now I just got to take gradient control, have it take a nice argument. All right, so what's going on with this? So we divide the difference between the start and end by 20, and we should get we should get a value between 0 and 1. That's our percentage. And we did get 0.5, so that was correct. And then what happened? We started with, the start mix was this value, which is fine. So it's possible that the start mix was simply 0 in itself, right? That's probably what was going on. So somehow start mix and end mix just are not getting updated. I think that's what we determined here. I believe that's what we've officially determined, but I'll double check. Let's see, G28, yeah. Right, I'll just take that now. Hey, cut that out. Yeah, there, and then G1Z10, right, G1Z10.01, G1Z10.1, okay. So yeah, so we get about 0.5, but yeah, the start mix and end mix are 0, so what's up with that? Why do I not set them? Why is my code so dumb? Let's take a look. I actually have an easier way to look at my code. Like, I've been going through this all in here, in the editor, running around, searching, using all this kind of stuff. But if I just want to examine the code, actually GitHub Desktop is the better tool. So let's go back to gradient control, taking target float, and then, oh yeah, as far as that goes, has position float. Yeah, Lin advance, scar feed rate scaling, gradient mix. Yep, it needs it too. So there we go. Who knew? Okay, so then we take our target float Z, which is great. Yeah, great. Okay, so now we actually have a proper Z, so that should help with that. Now the only thing missing is our strange not updating of the start mix or the end mix. So what's going on with that? Here we go. So update mix from vtool. I believe if we looked at that, we might see that we have a consistent result, but we'll see. I'm going to upload it, and then we'll see. Even though these uploads take forever. Shouldn't take that long this time, right? Oh, what did I do? Oh, current Z, yeah. Hola. Alright, again, upload. What changes have we made so far? Anything exciting? Let's take a look. we have made all these changes today. So it counts. This counts for something. This is all going to make a difference. That's the most important one is the LCD pins. You got to get those right. Those are important. Okay, slice percentage. So we found that the start mix and end mix were not being set. Are we good? We're going to build. We're going to be good. Ah, it's still saying that? Oh, jeez. We can't say that. Okay. I guess I forgot I had that there. All right. Everything else is ready to go. And here goes the upload. All right. Yeah. Well, at least the link. Come on, linker. There we go. Okay. Everything's good. One thing I've noticed is like the steppers never sleep. I wonder if that was something I did. There have been a lot of really strange tweaks to Marlin lately because of a rush to get a lot of new features in. Like I keep asking people, stop with all the new feature submissions and just please get on board with me and help sweep out this bloody hallway. Like there's so much that just needs to be really just paid attention to, like cleaned up, little bugs fixed, like this broken filament change on the second extruder. What is up with that? You know, and like, I mean, I cannot follow up on all of this stuff. I honestly cannot. I try to be very thorough in my vetting of new features, but things slip by. Okay. We are now at the crossroad. Let's see what we got and why. It's very peculiar, very peculiar. Wow, I'm starting to feel better already. I think I'm getting over this cold. I'm going to be right as rain tomorrow. Today. Okay. What do I need? Oh, right, this command. Why does my cursor keep moving inside of a window I haven't been editing? That doesn't seem right. Okay, gradient mix on. G1, Z10, halfway. Let's see what we get. All right, 20, 0.5. And again, the start mix and end mix were not set. And yet the gradient is going from 0, 100 to 100, 0. So it should be at, you know, it should be there. The start mix should have, the end mix should be 100. So why is the end mix not? End mix, start mix, end mix. All right, let's find out why. This is the final thing. Why is start mix, end mix not getting set? If this doesn't lead to an answer, I don't know what will. Right. Okay. All right. All right. I guess. What is start mix? It's an array, right? So we'll just do 0 and 1. Anything else worth saving here? Think not. And also, I guess I'm gonna need to do this. Update mix from vtool. Okay. I know, it's only for debug, and yet I still have to decorate it. What is wrong with me? Alright, update gradient mixes. Start vtool, end vtool, start mix. Good, good, good. You happy? Alright. I feel like maybe this will give us our answers. I hope so. It is making no bloody sense to me at this moment. Oh, one other thing is, yeah, find gradient T, yeah, and so start tool, end tool should be 0, 1 already. Why is it 1, 0 when I go to look at the menu? Is it backward? I hope not. vtool, so start vtool, yeah, there it is. It does get edited. That is very peculiar. I don't know. There's no place where it's like, you know. Oh, there it is. Excuse me. Yep, so when we start on M166, we do go from, I believe, 0 to 1. I believe I can just say S1 and see what the defaults are. Right? M166 S1. Right? Oh. It's off because I haven't changed the Z's. M166 S1 A0 Z20. Alright, there we go. 0, 100, 100, 0. So it is already set up to go from tool 1 to tool 0. Well, that is very peculiar. Again, what? Shouldn't it be different? I'm thinking maybe I think that's what I think that was going on. I believe I know what's going on here. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe. I would like to say, okay, so it's false. Then you have a color, which is, what is a color type? Well, a mixed color is just a B color. What the hell is a B color? Oh, that's the field. Stop that. There it is. Mixer color type is, geez. Where are you defined? I made this. Oh, there it is. Oh, it is an array of mixer comp types. So a color type is actually an array, which is interesting. All right, so right. So start vtool, end vtool is all good. Start mix, and I'm beginning to think. Beginning to think. Let's leave it at that. Okay. Update mix from vtool to mix, right? Color J0, color J1. Right. Gradient color 0 and 1. Right? 0. Right. this and test it with some of this extra debugging. This is really messing with me, because I know that I don't know. I know I left it in sort of a half-done state, and I know I left some things dangling because I kept jumping from one thing to another. But I certainly thought I had that pretty well covered. Anyway, we'll certainly see what it says after this. It was going to tell us all the secrets of our errors. It's one of the pitfalls of being a coder is, you know, subconsciously, like, you don't want to admit your errors, and so you kind of avoid testing things you know might expose them. But you have to, you know, you have to dig that stuff out. You can't just be like, you know, all about production. You have to take the time to really do things right, and then eventually you'll develop speed and accuracy both. And you know, I'm not one to talk because I make my mistakes like daily. But a lot of it does have to do with that, like I feel rushed sometimes, and I was like, I need to chill that. All right, so here we see that it does know how to update a mix. It's turning 128.0 into 100.0, so it's doing a great job from that. So it's doing that for the sake of the screen. I'm just going to switch to another screen. Well, first I'm going to home, and then I'll do that. So. Okay, and then yeah, so I've switched to the Move Z screen, and that keeps this thing from constantly updating up. It did. Yeah, so there must be some screen I can go to where it won't leave ever, but I forget which ones. Maybe if I go to like level corners or something, but I want to be able to control it, so I'm going to keep it running. Alright, here we go. First things first, turn off this auto scroll at least. So we've done our G28, let's do our M166 S1 A0Z20. Right? It gives us gradient mix on from Z0. And then mixer update mix from VTool jumps in and says, hey, 0128 is 0100. And then it says 2Z20. Mixer, hey, by the way, 128.0 is 100.0. So it gets those right. So it does get those right. Now the question, do they get copied correctly to the variables called start mix, end mix? And it does appear that they do. Wait, start mix 0, 1, VTool to mix, oh wait, yeah, it's not calling update gradient mixes yet, is it? Am I missing something? Okay, so it's calling update mix from VTool, but not update gradient mixes. Okay, so this is one we really care about. So now let's do our G1Z10. Okay, there we go. So now 20, percentage 50, start mix 0, end mix 0, right? It's not getting copied anywhere. Update gradient mixes simply is not getting copied. What is that? So where is it supposed to get called? Well, here's a place where it's getting called. It's getting called from the menu. Update gradient. So it is getting called when, oh, you know that. So it's not getting called from M166, but it is getting called from the menu. So it's possible that if I were to do the menu right now, you would see that it does work there. So let's try that. Gradient, and if I set NZ to 20.1, mixer, all right, now Having done that, it says, yeah, there it is. So it is working when you do it from the screen, but doesn't work with N166. So I would have seen it there, but I didn't. And so what I need to do actually is call update gradient mixes. You have altered your gradient, you've updated your gradient mixes. Then you also need to call not just that, but update gradient for Z, current Z. All right. Anything else need to be done? I think that might do it. Let's take a look. Update gradient for Z. I'm trying to think of all the places where you'd really need to do that. Clearly you need to do it in the planner when Z changes. You need to do it whenever the gradient changes. And I think that's pretty much it. When the gradient's on and off, it doesn't matter. But when it toggles on and off, it does. So even though certain things don't change, it should definitely be updated. Yeah, so it looks like I didn't have to worry about the start mix, end mix stuff being mixed up. Oh, but I did it. Yeah, I know I was worried about that. Let me take a quick look. So enabled, then you have the color, which is, you know, I guess an array. So you want to say color array. I'm just going to make a note there. Right? Is it? No, sorry, these are the last ones are arrays. Right. So, right. So start VTool, end VTool. I'm really confused about why these are like, why they are this way. That is blowing my mind right now. Like, why? Why is start and end reversed? Or are they reversed? They do seem to be reversed. It was really peculiar. I just thought that was funny. It's like, why? How? When? I looked everywhere, but I couldn't see it. Where it was getting, why it would be reversed on boot up. It is still confusing to me. And it's like, it is this is it, right? This is, comes here, start VTool. Yep, I'm sure as heck seeing this is where it is. It does say start, it does say end. You're seeing it. You're my witness. I don't know why, but it does. Okay, so now let us once again return upload, and then I'll get rid of all this. Oh my god, all this debugging is ridiculous. Some of it may be needed, but not everything, that's for sure. Gosh. Right. Flashing. It is, oh, it failed. Current position, that's funny. Okay, well I'm gonna have to flash it again, so I don't necessarily want to save this in this state, but I will prepare it. Okay, so yeah, it needs, that was silly. Yeah, current position needs motion. And that's a module, I guess. Okay. Once again, into the breach. I will conquer you. I will. Oh, look at that. I made the gradient menu so it doesn't exit until you want to. That's handy because you do spend a lot of time in there. I think it's a good idea not to have the LCD timeout all the time. It's a bit too much sometimes. Will we be able? Yeah, actually that's the way it works. From virtual tool to virtual tool. Still with M166, yep. And I used A and Z, or no, I and J, I think are the, yeah, I used I and J as the start and end tool. Hey Ben, what's up? Let's see, I finally had to use it to compile Marlin for an SK board, and I won't go back to Arduino. Yeah, I agree. But, I mean, I'm using it because it's just, sometimes it's just visually easier for people to process through this video. But I would use Platform.io like comfortably for maybe the next one. I think I may because it seems like it's faster like every time I use it. But you're going to get annoyed with me because I don't like to edit in Visual Studio Code. I know, they spend all this time making this like crazy editor that's like full of bells and whistles, and someone like me is just like, but Sublime gets me there so quickly. I did everything done like yesterday. It's amazing. All right, once again, M166, S1, A0, Z20, G28. Let's do that first. Right. Run this. Okay. Now let's take a look. It's right. So the slice is 20% 01, so we can see a lot of things are being printed here. But the important one was after M166, the nmix is correct, and that's super important. So now we can say G1 Z10. And oh my god, it's correct. Almost, I think. Is 50.0 really convert to 128.0? Because it converts back to 100.0, so I'm thinking that's wrong. Also, that should really be 50 and 50, not 50.0, right? Yeah, that should totally be 50 and 50, not 50.0. So let's go and check it out. Okay, so this conversion routine is somehow wrong. So all values are scaled. So the T color is converted. So how did, sorry, I'm so sorry. So when the mix is getting updated for the Z, I think that's where the issue is. So, right. Right. Update gradient from mix. Percentage equals start mix. Mix. Well, this I guess could be the issue here. For each of these components, I'm taking the start mix as part of that component and the end mix part of that component. And I'm taking the end mix, subtracting it from the start mix, and I'm multiplying it by percent. So let's say our end mix was 100 and the start mix was 50, but it's 100.0. Well, let's do it this way. I'll just make an example. Let's say we got 100.0 and we got 2, 0, 100. Okay? So this is our range. So what we really want, of course, is when you get halfway, you want your mix to be, 50-50, I assume, scaling on this 100 scale. Why is it not 50-50? Let's take a look. If this is 100.0, and this is 0 to 100, this should be scaling down by half, and this should be scaling up by half. This is 10, so 100 minus 0 I think it should be end minus start, right? Yeah. So we got our start mix plus. So let's take a look at what would happen in each of these cases. So let's say we go to the first index 0. Our start mix is going to be the start mix 100. And we'll say, so it gives us our SM equals 100. Then we have, I guess I've been through this before, but I'm trying to figure out what it ought to be, just like ideally. And then start mix for this is 0, right? So we take 100, so this becomes, let's say at the 50-50 mark, this will be $100 start mix plus 0 minus 100 times 0.5, which should give us 100 minus 100, it's basically 100 plus minus 50, right? In other words, 100 minus 50, which equals 50. So that should give us that for 0. So yeah, 100 minus 50 equals 50. Going this way with component 1, we get start mix of this is 0, and then the end mix is 100 minus 0, and then times 0.5. So again, it should be 50, but it's not. Why? Is it that I'm copying not enough of the start mix? Or what is going on there? So let's take a look again at our console and see what these mixes look like. And I think I can probably get rid of this call here to update mix from vtool. At this point, I think I've got that pretty well settled. Yeah, so yeah, so there we go. Yeah, so I did turn off that debugging and that debugging and that debugging, and some of this is still here because it's just permanent. And that. Okay, so let's just upload it. I know it's about 140, so I'm getting close to quitting. But I really want to get through this one issue and just solve this, because I think if I get through this, I'll basically be done. The next thing to do will just be to start testing real printing, and I don't want to get into that at 1:40 in the morning, but I'll be really excited to get into it tomorrow. It's Friday, so you know you'll all be at work during your days, but of course a lot of you are living in other time zones. I assume if you're up here right now, you're in other time zones. But I'm going to try and do it in the mid-afternoon, so that might be an evening or night where you are. Hopefully not too late. If I get into it around 1 p.m., I suppose that's around 8 in the UK. Yeah, it'd be nice to get up early and talk to the UK. Maybe now. It's about 9 a.m. there, so time to talk to the UK, I think. But yeah, it'll be good to be on tomorrow. So what's going on? Okay, all written. Let's see what we got. Yeah. All right. M1's G28 first, as always. M166, S1A0Z. Maybe I should use B, but Z100. That's not 100. 100? Let's make it 100 would be easy. Easier math, but whatever. Okay, and now we go G1, Z10. Okay, we're all good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Seeing that. Start mix and end mix are all good. Okay, and then you have 0, 0, 1, 1. That was what before. Oh, and how does this... Oh, I guess it's in the middle because it is. I don't know, I'm not sure. I want to make sure this actually is supposed to... Gradient mix on from Z0 to etc, etc. It does have an EOL, so it does end the line there. Okay, so we're good with that. Okay, back to Arduino. Did I kill some of the logging I needed? I feel like I did. The main thing I want to know is what's up with the math and all that. So again, M166 tells me everything is on. Oops, sorry. You should keep the focus field. All right, gradient mix on from Z0 to Z20, and then I guess somehow when this is called, it doesn't do the right thing. Okay, yeah, I see what's going on. Yeah, right, because it doesn't have an EOL yet. I'll put an extra one in. What do you say? On or off? Well, that should not take much more. Anyway, the plan here is to see what's going on. So mix does equal 50, and then for component 1, it equals, again, 0. Because the start mix and end mix are both 0, there's the problem. There's your problem. Start mix is 0 too. So let me see. It should be start mix of 0 is 0, end mix 100, start mix of 1, 100, end mix 0. So why? Why is start mix 0, 0 and end mix 100, 0? So 100, 0 is tool 1, which is, again, it's backwards again. This is so confusing. That one's gonna perplex me for a while. I'll have an answer, and I bet it'll be very funny. I will look forward to sharing that with you in the future. But yeah, that is some peculiar stuff. So yeah, why? Okay, well, again, start mix, start vtool, and vtool start mix. Yeah, I should leave these windows open. I'm really silly for not doing that. Hello? Does it go away if I change screens? It doesn't. All right, I didn't think so. Yeah, once again. A0Z20. Okay, so we can see that our 0, 100 to 100, 0 is the plan here. You can see that start mix just simply isn't getting set. It should be getting set from, right, there's our start mix, 0, 100. It should be bloody, 1 should be a bloody 100. So I'm thinking maybe start mix, end mix, I think that copy, I'm thinking copy is bad. I'm thinking copy is the wrong way to do it. I feel like copy is not helping us. I want to find out when I use copy, what's going on and what, and whether it's actually even a viable thing to use. I made this macro. It made sense at the time. So, see, it does this. It takes the address of the thing and the address of the other thing, and then it finds the size of the thing and the size of the other thing, and uses the minimum of the two, and it copies whatever's there. But it doesn't always... Sorry. Excuse me. It does not... excuse me. Always do the right thing. Oh boy, this cold. I am going to kill it. I am going to drink so much water. I'm going to sleep so long. Alright, so again, yeah, we are seeing that did that window go away again? Did I close it? I did not close it, did I? Please tell me I'm not closing the window and forgetting and losing my mind. Please read back the transcript. I've got to stop closing it. It's so useful until I actually, you know. Need to burn something. Okay. So yeah, stop closing it. It's so useful. Okay, so for some reason start mixing and mixer networking. So for the time being, I am simply going to do this and just say you may be wondering why I didn't do this in the first place, and it's a good question. Okay. I have a feeling it's all going to work, and I don't even need this, but I probably do. Let's find out what's going on. Upload. I think this is it. I think it's just copy. It's a stupid macro. I hate it. I'm never going to use it again. It's just dumb. Right, and mixer color T, the B color is what? Right, number of virtual tools. It's called color. So where's B color? Oh, B color. Yeah, B color, that's what I thought. Block B color. Oh, I see. It's passed in, and okay, well, so be it. Mixing, undo, anything? What did I do? Oh, I've been doing all this nonsense here. Okay, I really feel like the math is okay, so I think it was my copy, I really do. I think that's what was going on there. Just a really, I tried to be too clever, and it bit me in the butt, as usual. S1, A0, B, oh, Z, 20, and G1, Z10. Oh my god, it's absolutely correct. Good night, everyone. Yay. Oh, goodness. I'm sorry I put you through all that. That's the worst, most non-exemplary debugging session I think I've ever done. But I mean, that's essentially what you have to do to track down this nonsense sometimes. Just, you know, it's just ridiculous how convoluted your own systems can become quickly, to the point where you can't necessarily figure out where a bug is coming from. One thing I do know is that I changed it by putting these here, and I think that, well, I don't know if I did that in this whole in this endeavor, but I want to go back and do a quick check. So I think it was 555, January 6, January 13. Okay, so I feel like this is gradient. This is the beginning of the beginning here. So this is where I would have modified macros, and sure enough I did, and sure enough I think if I try to build without that it'll bark at me, and I think it's right to do so. The thing is, like, a data type size of is strange. I need to look at what size of is doing in those instances, but I think, you know, I mean, here I could just do a quick, you know, output of what is the size of gradient start mix, just to see what is the size of mix. I don't know, why not? Size of start mix is size of gradient start mix. Yeah. Okay, I think that's okay. I made it into an int. I don't know if I need to. Probably don't. All these things are all ints by default. And same with end mix. So. And I guess I could just put this into, I don't know, somewhere else. We'll just throw it in here. Come back for it later. Okay, feeling good? Feeling good? I'm feeling pretty good. We're going to be printing gradients with Marlin 2.0 in the morning. That's pretty exciting. I don't know what to print. I've been printing all these rocket vases in vase mode, and I'd like to try that. So maybe that's the thing to do. Hopefully I won't run into any snags in the actual underlying mixing system, which is fairly new. It has not been extensively tested, but I think it's close to extensively tested. It's definitely very close to extensively tested. So I assume, and you know, the original developer and who made these big major changes recently has assured me that there's nothing much to worry about. It should all be very solid. So that I'm excited about too. I like confirming that these guys know what they're talking about. Okay, so that looks pretty small and simple now. A little less debugging. Some of it's just, you know, wrapped up in comments. That's good. Mixing can be good. Okay, I think I'm gonna take all these changes and commit them. Check the build. Oh yeah, see, here's a perfect example. Call info gradient mixer gradient. What are you talking about? It says info gradient. There's no, how can you copy info gradient to mixer gradient? I think the idea is I need to put that there, but you're not allowed to. So yeah, I'm gonna have to basically do, you know, the whole loop thing, I think, but maybe not. Gradient mix, info gradient, mixer gradient. Let's take a look at, oh, part of info gradient. Yeah, I gotcha. I think I just do mem cpy, info gradient, mixer gradient, size of, I don't know, info.gradient. All right. Let's do the same here. Where else did I complain? On mixer gradient, info gradient, the other way around. It makes sense. That's just a power loss recovery. Was using it. All right, once again, let's try to build and see where we get. Coming back to other instances of copy within mixing. I'm kind of just concerned that the ones I used here were badly formed, but a lot of that just has to do with the fact that I'm trying to use these general macros for data types that are, I'm making type defs that are arrays, and I don't know, like I said, size of is strange. I don't know if it's working right with them, so that's what I'm going to find out. Click. Turn that thing off. Okay, so last thing to do, yeah, just check and see if there are any more compile errors. Okay, not. At the moment, looking good. I don't know why it's compiling so much, but so here it's copying gradient color, which is an array. As long as it's an array, it's fine. It's just that I made these things into like strange data types, so I think that's probably all it is. If I had done it without using weird data types, it would be fine. I just wanted to be clever. Again, type def is exactly what I was using. And you can see here I've got, yeah, I created this type def called mixer color, and yeah, I don't know that mixer color is working very well. I may have to, again, just not use copy. Instead of this, I should say, what's mixer comp t? Oops. Copy. See, that's how you'd normally do it. Mixer comp t be color mixing steppers. You know, here I'd say mixer comp t color mixing steppers. And voila. And I'm wondering, yes, I have to, they're being converted, that's why they're here. It's convenience data, just to make it a little quicker, which is good, especially as this stuff's all being called on every segment to change this stuff. Well, I'll probably check to see that Z has changed and only modify it if Z actually changes, so that's going to be a small change that I'll make later. Okay, so we're looking good for the upload. Let's do it. All that stuff I did with mixer color T. So I believe, yeah, I don't know. I guess I should do it like, you know, yeah, And here we have a very interesting one, T color, and usually what you do is you say, I just love the syntax you have to use. That's a reference to an array. is how it's done. Okay. Remind me to tell you my story of how I got into code. How it became my life, my love. All right, I believe that we don't need mixer color T anymore. It was a nice idea, it was convenient. I believe that is more than enough. Oops, bad file descriptor. What are you oh, I can't upload to the thing because I turned it off. Anyway, I just want to see that it compiles. So I'll leave it off here. I'm going to say goodnight. I want to thank you all for stopping by and checking in. This will be posted soon, just as again, another little archival live stream to record this little moment in history for Marlin 2.0. It's a really good time right now. I feel like we're getting close to be able to do maybe a release candidate. I would really like to see just a freeze on features and just like, that's what we can do when we do a release, and that might be the way to go, because at this point I can see there's just so much piling up. I think it really would make sense to just do a feature freeze and just get ourselves to a place of just really just stabilizing. But it's hard to stem the flow. People are creative, and they really, I mean, once you get a bee in your bonnet about something you want to fix or add, and how that can be, I think the idea is really just to put it on the side burner, on the back burner, the the under burner, and pick it up later, because I mean, just having a really solid, like, well thought out, reconstructed, like, kind of polished and especially cleaned up version of 2.0 is going to make bringing that stuff in so much easier. The other thing about 2.0 I want to bring up is that I'm going to be putting up more documentation, more about the workflow, which involves doing a lot of basically just, if you do Git and you know Git and you've done Git, this is a slightly different workflow than you might be used to. We're not adding commits, piling them on, doing merges, but we're kind of starting to adopt a more Git rebase based workflow, and I definitely prefer Git rebase when possible. It just is more, it just ends up being neater. So that's going to be some of the stuff that's coming up. Anyway, before I sign off, I'll just remind you that I have links in my description below for all this stuff, and there'll be a link to this pull request and all the the eventual changes to Marlin, so you can check them out yourself as soon as it's ready, and I'll just put it in all the video descriptions. I have links down there where you can donate and help out the cause. Things were really kind of devastated by the whole Patreon boycott, so I'm trying to catch up and find new sources. So I found a few and I've listed them. I hope those work for you. Some of them are simple. They buy me a coffee. I can always use more coffee, so please do. Just stop by anytime. Join our Discord. Join the Marlin firmware Facebook group. Say hi on Twitter. Stop by if you have issues, bugs to report. If you have troubleshooting issues or you want help, I recommend the Marlin firmware Facebook group. It's starting to really pick up, and there's a lot, and you get answers really quick. It has great turnaround. Discord would be next, but that's more low level. We're kind of being more geeky on there. It's a good place to discuss ideas you might have. And then the GitHub issue queue as really being, I'm trying to sweep out everything except for feature requests, suggestions, bug reports, things like that, and just it's things that we really need to record and remember and sort of check in on and talk about that really are pertinent to development. So anyway, other than that stuff, this channel isn't super active, but I do hope to get more going, and I want to put up a lot more Marlin documentation. So do subscribe and click the bell, because given how infrequently I actually post, you'll totally miss it. But hopefully more often, and we'll see. But the idea is really just to get as much information out and start kind of educating people more about the low-level stuff inside of Marlin, because I think when you look at what's being done in Arduino, Marlin is just a great example of taking to the extremes and using as much of the resources as you want. Like, what can you accomplish? And it does a good job of really exemplifying a lot of things and tricks, and especially speed tricks and stuff like that, optimization tricks. So I think little by little, it would be nice to go through and just share with you some of the bits and pieces of Marlin that I can sort of comprehend, gloss over the parts that are very complicated, but give you a sense of like how it's all put together, if only from a very high level view. And then maybe for some things like this, I mean, this has been really in depth in the sense that I've had to go through, you know, dozens of files, make changes, and all those together compiled become a feature. And in the end, I'll show you what the final result looks like when you pack something up that's a feature. It's not, you know, it would be nice to have it be like a plugin where you just have it all in one folder and just, there's my feature. But yeah, you do have to spread the code around, and it's in a lot of places, and each part of the code needs its own thing, and there's no callbacks, and yeah, so it's a little bit more convoluted than you might be used to. But yeah, and as far as like a giant system goes, I've seen worse. So anyway, good night, and